Education opens doors for the gospel, bringing hope to dark places and sparking lasting change around the world. At Teach Beyond, we're reaching the nations through education.
This is Transformed and Transformational, a podcast from Teach Beyond. I'm Keane.
And I'm Heather. We're exploring how the gospel transforms us and overflows to impact classrooms, communities, and the world.
Let's jump into today's conversation. Heather, this is episode 200.
I can hardly believe it.
It is a very fun milestone.
And you know what, Keane? In addition to that celebration, we're talking today about Christmas celebrations too.
And as we're getting closer to Christmas, and at this point in my life, my vote at this point is to just put the Christmas tree up as early as possible.
I can get behind that, Keane. We won't get into the big debate here about exactly when early is, but I don't know. I found myself listening to Christmas music way earlier this year than in past years. I know not everyone has snow associated with Christmas since it's summertime for some people, but we had our first snow in early November, which was way earlier than usual in Pittsburgh. So I think that just got everyone in the mood of wanting to decorate and begin the Christmas season early.
Yes. Today we're going to talk about all things Christmas, including Christmas celebrations around the world, and specifically what Christmas looks like in the classroom. It's certainly fun to come up with creative ways to celebrate with traditions at home or in school. But as we talked about in our conversation with Kevin King last week, we also want to approach this season with thoughtfulness and openness to seeing the gospel go forward. So we're sharing some lighthearted along with the more intentional suggestions and stories.
And today we won't have just one or two guests, but a number of different people in Teach Beyond and past guests sharing about their experiences with Christmas in their culture and in their classrooms.
Let's start off with hearing about Christmas traditions, and then we'll go into the classroom.
Great, here we go.
I'm Susie. I'm from Nairobi, Kenya, and how we celebrate Christmas is we do a lot of merrymaking. There's a lot of food. There's a lot of barbecue. We love barbecues in our country, and so there'll be a lot of family gatherings as well. So people from the city will travel to up country where they will see probably relatives in the rural community, and so most of the time you would find that the cities are pretty much empty during Christmas time, and so there's a lot of focus on family getting together, and there's a lot of eating and merrymaking, and obviously people will also go for a church service because there'll be a church service on that day. But wherever they are, there's a lot of focus on family and eating and just barbecuing and visiting people you haven't seen in the rural community probably the whole year because maybe people have been in the city.
I'm Paul Snyder with MK to MK, and I grew up in Jamaica as an MK. And when I was growing up in Jamaica, there were kind of two big things that stand out to me for Christmas is that one, as a family, Christmas Eve, we'd always have Tex-Mex. So my mom grew up in Texas, and so that was one of the ways we brought her culture and her traditions to our life in Jamaica. So it was always an adventure finding the Velveeta ahead of time to make the queso for our Christmas Eve dinner. But the fun thing in Jamaica is that Christmas Eve is actually the focus of Christmas as well. So they have what's called Grand Market Night, and it's where everybody goes out, everybody goes to a large party or has family over, or you go to church. But Christmas Day is kind of the day where you sleep, you spend time at home. But Christmas Eve is really the focus of celebrating.
Hi, I'm Katie Davis Majors. I'm an author and the founder of Amazima Ministries in Uganda. I used to live in Uganda, and one thing our family always loved to do on Christmas is we would actually celebrate Christmas with our family on Christmas Eve, and that was when we would open gifts and read the Christmas story. And then on Christmas Day, we would gather together a group of people in our community who maybe didn't have family to celebrate Christmas with, and we would serve a big Christmas meal for our community members who didn't have others to celebrate it with. And that really, for our family, established a rhythm of wanting to serve on Christmas Day. And so now that we're in the United States, we love to still have our family Christmas tradition on Christmas Eve, and then look for different ways that we could serve others on the actual day of Christmas.
Hi, we're from GDQ International Christian School in Albania. I'm Peter, and I'm the chaplain.
I'm Lori, and I'm head of school.
I'm Nathan, and I teach math and science.
So at Christmas time in Albania, cafes are decorated. There's a big, beautiful tree. in downtown, but really they're not decorating for Christmas. They're decorating for New Year's, which is kind of funny. So we go to get a turkey like at American Thanksgiving or even for Christmas, and they say, "What do you want a turkey now for? You got to wait and have your turkey at New Year's." So they can't understand why we want one.
And as a staff, we always go out with kind of a nice meal, and no staff gathering is complete without Albanian dancing.
And I'm married to an Albanian. So while we do have a Christmas tree, the way we celebrate Christmas is by celebrating New Year's with my Albanian in laws and with an incredible fireworks display across the entire city.
Let's take a short break before we talk about Christmas in the classroom specifically.
Our weekly spotlight this week is a brand new program for university students called Go Beyond. This is aimed at second year and third year students, sophomores and juniors, who have a summer break in June and July.
Go Beyond is a 7-week program, including 1 week of training and 6 weeks in an international location. 2 sites in Latin America, 2 in Europe, and 1 in Southeast Asia.
We're really excited for the launch of Go Beyond in 2026. If you know someone who would be interested in applying, visit teachbeyond.org/gobeyond. The first application deadline is coming up January 5.
And now, let's hear about celebrating Christmas in the classroom.
Hi, I'm Hannah, and I serve here at the Christian International School of Prague here in the Czech Republic as a high school English teacher, and I really enjoy Christmas. It is such a fun time of year, both inside and outside of school, and I love bringing Christmassy energy into the classroom. I decorate my room, and I bring Christmas colors into my routines that I have with my students, but I also love the opportunity to talk about Christmas, especially with my grade 12 homeroom. We spend time talking about the 4 different themes in Advent. We have hope, joy, peace, and love. So we take time, we watch videos on these topics, and then we take time to talk about it. It's a really special time to take a moment and really discuss the reason for the season, which is celebrating Christ's birth. So I'm grateful for this time of year. Even in the midst of often a very busy and stressful season, we get to come together and pause and reflect here in our classroom.
Hi, my name is Marilyn Carrasco. I teach at Santa Cruz Christian Learning Center in Santa Cruz, Bolivia. My classroom actually it is decorated after Thanksgiving. So my students come their first day back after break with the classroom with decorations, with lights, with little trees and different things and ornaments. Yet the first day, I usually during homeroom time, I have a devotional that I read. And we usually have it Christ-centered focus that our gift of this season is not the presses and not the lights, but is Jesus himself coming to our world and showing us a way for us to live with him and having us being able to follow him and guide us. And actually, I recenter that focus. And even though they see all the lights, they see the decorations, our focus should be primarily in who Christ is and what he has done in our life and what a great gift he is. And that's how we celebrate in my classroom.
Hello, my name is Jenna Miller, and I serve at Black Forest Academy in Kondern, Germany. Christmas at BFA looks like a variety of different things. So as a whole school, the week leading up to the students going on their break, there is a Spirit Week where students and teachers get to participate in various dressing up prompts such as Christmas sweaters, pajamas. This year there's one where they get to be a Christmas tree topper. So that is a fun whole school community activity, which has been fun every year that I've participated in it. In my class specifically, since I tend to have a small group of students leaving early for the Christmas break, either on Thursday or Friday, since they live all over the world, on the last day, Friday, I tend to have a more relaxed day where we have Christmas treats like warm drinks, hot cocoa, tea, and cookies, or some other kind of small treat like chocolate. And we just enjoy our time together before going away from one another for several weeks. And that's always a sweet time of bonding with my students. Another area that is new for me this year is the Falcon Times. So I am the sponsor of the high school newspaper, and this year I had my students put together a Christmas edition for their final 2025 publication, where they have various articles on Christmas traditions, holiday-related news, and other holiday happenings at BFA. So that's been really fun to put together with them. For me personally, in my own time, I've been reading an Advent devotional by Alistair Begg, covering the anticipation of Christ's coming from all the way back in Genesis, all the way up to his second coming in Revelation. And that has been a really sweet personal time with the Lord that I've been having daily. And I'm really enjoying it so far.
Hello, my name is Jacob Cavett, and I am a secondary teacher at the Christian International School of Prague. Every year at Christmas time, I have a special lesson in my 9th grade English class where we read a short story by F. Scott Fitzgerald called The Luckless Santa Claus, and he actually wrote it when he was in high school, which is a fun fact for my students. But in this story, the main character is challenged by his fiance to go and give out a lot of money, essentially, a few nights before Christmas. And she gives him all of these rules. For example, one rule is that he can't give away more than $2 to any one person, which back in 1912 was quite a lot of money. And so he does it, and he has all of these sort of awkward encounters with people and misunderstandings and rejections, and he even gets beaten up at one point. But then finally he returns home at the end of the night, and he's made all these new friends, and he's even about to host the guys who just beat him up at his house for Christmas. And it's just a really funny, sweet story, kind of about the idea of charity at Christmas. And as soon as we finish talking about that story, I then present my students with all of these chocolate coins and challenge them to go and give away their 5 chocolate coins to students throughout the school. But like in the story, I give them several rules which they must follow. For example, they can't give away any chocolate coins to their siblings. No student in the whole school can receive more than 2 chocolate coins, so they're forced to go out and find different people. Each student has to give away a chocolate coin at least to at least one elementary, middle, and high school student, and so on. So it's fun because they have 24 hours to complete this challenge. It is definitely chaotic, but in a really fun way, and by the time it's over and we talk about it, it's really sweet because they, yes, were forced to go into this uncomfortable situation and give in a way that can be awkward. But we talk about how the Lord can really use that. And a lot of times obedience does at first feel a little uncomfortable, but that doesn't mean it's bad. And oftentimes those are the places in which we make new friends and meet new people. So that's a very special Christmas lesson.
Hi everybody, my name is Angie Pape and I'm the Director of Open Schools Worldwide. At Christmas, the Open Schools projects come alive with color and music and shared meals and the deep message of God's love through his son Jesus. So let's travel to South Africa, Uganda and Zambia. At Ditshego in South Africa, Christmas preparations start in October and November. Volunteers from the local church who support the project share a special devotional with the children, read the story of Christ's birth to them, and show the children how to make crafts and Christmas cards for their sponsors. They also create colorful Christmas crowns, and at the end of the year concert, they proudly wear their crowns while dancing for their guests who loudly cheer them on. At the concert, each child receives a personal Christmas shoebox given by their donors, and inside these boxes you'll find things such as socks and clothing and caps and cool sunglasses and stationery supplies and sweets to take home. This year, the entire project of 36 children who have never been to school before received the news that they will be joining a local school next year and that their school uniforms have been sponsored. Even more remarkable, the uniform suppliers themselves came to the project to measure each child. What a Christmas gift of dignity and of hope and of a new beginning. In Cape Town this year, The learners from a private school didn't just send the shoe boxes, they actually brought them in person, handing them over to the child. And I just imagined the sense of excitement and the sense of being loved and valued and seen as a deeply personal child to child generosity played out of a child receiving and a child learning to give. In Uganda, in Tororo, one of our most beloved volunteers, Irene, arranged a Christmas party where the children were called together, the story of Jesus' birth shared, and the small gifts were given, even some made by hand. Known for her cooking, Irene was appreciated in that she provided a delicious meal for the children and some of the parents in a community where resources are scarce. And this just reminds us of God's provision. And it's really, really a powerful reminder that it's not in the abundance of gifts, but in the abundance of love shared through a meal. In Zambia, our volunteers raised a little bit of fundraising money from communities contributing small amounts, whatever they could, and together they gave the children a beautiful Christmas party. They had fun and games, and they shared a meal made from whatever ingredients the community managed to gather. And because of the Open Schools routine that keeps going until the holidays, the children creatively integrated the Christmas story into their learning. They role-played the nativity, they selected their own Mary and their own Joseph and their own baby Jesus and shepherds and wise men, and then had such fun playing out the nativity scene, filled with so much meaning. But I was delighted to hear one of our partners share that her heart beats Psalm 103 verse 7 for the children. He lifts the poor from the dust and the needy from the ash heap. And she shared that for many of our children, the ash heap is literal. They live in communities built near rubbish dumps in places the world overlooks. And yet, this is exactly where God's hope is rising through the tutors, the volunteers, the partners, and the joy of Christmas. And you know, these classrooms, humble as they may be, become places where God's love and God's faithfulness is visible through the love and the care of tutors and partners and people who just give. And Christmas becomes the season where His care is unmistakable, seen through provision, seen through volunteers who give tirelessly, and through stakeholders and partners who come alongside our tutors and children to show love in practical ways. So, Merry Christmas from the entire Open Schools team and the entire Open Schools Worldwide family. God bless you.
Well, Keane, I think the only way to wrap up this episode is to answer the all-important question that we always ask.
Yes, that's true. We can't let a week go by without sharing what's changing our lives. I'll go first. And what's changing my life during this season when we have more school off, we've been getting some more board games and different games around the house. So it's been really fun to just play the new games, learn new games with my kids.
Nice. That sounds so fun. I love playing new games too. Learning there can be a learning curve, right? Like
Oh, for sure.
trying to figure out, okay, now we're learning a whole new game. We have to know the rules, but you start to find some patterns in certain games, right? Like,
Yes.
okay, this game, this is the type of goal that it has, and so now it kind of feels like this other game.
Yes. What about you? What's changing your life?
Yeah, well, a few weeks ago, I mentioned that I had a plaid party for with my friends, and as part of that, we did a collection of items that go into these backpacks and duffel bags that are placement bags for the foster care system in our area. And I love this particular program. It's just actually a few blocks from my house that they have their kind of main site. And so getting to go and volunteer, actually check the bags that get donated is kind of my favorite volunteering. That won't surprise you. I love a good like organization and, making sure things are right. But it was also cool to together with my friends collect items that are going into the bags, pack a number of bags together, and then we'll take them to the donation drive at this time of year. So that's been changing my life, just getting to do that with some of my friends.
That sounds amazing. That is very cool. Heather and I, along with many of the people featured on this episode, serve with Teach Beyond, a mission organization reaching the nations through education.
Want to learn more and get involved? Visit teachbeyond.org or follow us on social media.
To help more people find the podcast and hear about Teach Beyond, we'd love it if you would leave a rating or review and share the show with a friend. Be sure you're subscribed or following the show on the platform where you listen so you never miss an episode.
And as always, you can reach us at podcast@teachbeyond.org. We'll see you next week.